Mandalorian's out today, just in case you didn't know.
Oh, I thought it came out on the 30th.
Today's the 30th.
Oh, it is today.
Today is the 30th.
All aboard!
Hey! Huh? Oops! What? Wow! Yeah!
Welcome, everybody, to episode 24 of Where Streams Come True, the show where we suffer through the entire good and bad of Disney+. I am your host, Collins, and joining me today are Cameron, and we finally got Cody.
Hey.
He's finally here. I'm trying to get him since episode 2.
Now, if you recall, in the first episode, you took a little bit of my voice track. You didn't see me.
Yes.
In fact, you didn't see any of us in the first episode.
Right.
But you heard me.
That's true. And I believe you were in the booth for like episodes 2 and 3 and maybe a few others past
Maybe
that.
4 or 5. I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah. I don't remember
I
which
don't
one we
remember
started.
the first episode.
That was when we just like talked about what the show was gonna be. And then we watched then we watched Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. Which is I think that was our first one.
Yeah.
But this is our 24th one, and we had the pleasure of watching Cars, the 2006 animated Pixar film by directors John Lasseter and Joe Ranft. It's R-A-N-F-T. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. Ranft.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Ranft.
Race car Lightning McQueen is living in the fast lane until he hits a detour and gets stranded in
we're just starting
Radiator
right
Springs.
in, huh?
I'm just doing the stinger.
Oh, okay.
A forgotten town on Route 66. There he meets a heap of hilarious characters who help him discover there's more to life than fame. It's a fish out of water movie, or specifically a big fish in a small pond movie, which is a variant of fish out of water. We'll go into initial thoughts. Have you seen this movie before? What was your experience the first time, and now watching it again or revisiting it? I've got some fresh thoughts, so I'll just go first. I really liked this movie as a kid. I had the Rascal Flatts album that the song was from in this movie for a bit. I went to a King's in Montana, and I got the Hot Wheels from the end credits. So like the Woody and Buzz cars and like the Mike and Sully cars, I had those. And like I watched, I don't know if I started to grow a contempt for it by Cars 2, but that's probably where I still think Planes is a good movie. First one. I haven't seen Planes 2. But
Is it 2?
Yeah. They're firefighting planes in the second one. And like forest fires and stuff. I don't know. It's dumb. It's all dumb. And I've just sort of grown a steady contempt for this franchise over the years. I still haven't seen Cars 3. And I went into this revisiting it fully expecting to just loathe the entire thing. But like the story itself is not bad. It's a pretty good story. I think they didn't need to be cars. Anthropomorphizing things is just a Pixar staple, so like it could have easily just been a movie about a race car driver and it would have been great. When I was writing the write-up for this, I was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna do a rule at the beginning that like any discussion of how do they do this if they're a car, we'll just nix that. But like it's just so much. I'm not gonna nix that because it's like the entire movie is how do they do this because they are a car. Okay, there's my thoughts. We'll go Cody first. Cody
All right. Or second. Okay. Whatever order you like. I remember seeing this when it came out initially in theaters way back when in 2006. And I remember enjoying the movie a lot. I mean, I think a couple of days afterward, I went out and found the soundtrack for the Cars movie and, basically had that soundtrack on repeat for I don't know how long, but I enjoyed it. And, it was kind of interesting to see, like you said, the big, the fish out of water with a semi-truck coming at you at 70 miles an hour. That will get you. That's when, you get things happening at that point. But I remember liking the movie a lot and, kind of see, the the character progression of Lightning McQueen being this brash, arrogant rookie race car at the beginning of the movie, and then seeing him progress, gaining experience that he wouldn't necessarily gain on the racetrack to begin with. And just see that throughout the movie, where he eventually, mellows out, becomes more helpful, learns to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
for one thing. So, I mean, it was an interesting movie. I liked it when I first saw it, and I still like it now.
Awesome. And Cameron,
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from you for this one.
I saw this movie a long time ago. I don't know if I saw it in the theaters, but I've definitely seen it a lot because for a while my nephew loved this movie and he like watched it on repeat. So when I first watched it, I really liked it, and then I slowly hated it, and then I watched it again just like a week ago for this, and it's not bad. It's not
I kind
bad.
of feel like I kind of almost suspect that the dumpster fire that Cars 2 was kind of made us all by proxy not like Cars 1.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. And I'm sure Cars 2 isn't as bad as I remember it. But
This movie is like way more hick than I
oh
thought it would
yeah.
be. Like, or than I remember it. Like, is that like the race car scene? Because like I've seen other race car movies and they're kind of like that too.
Specifically NASCAR, yeah, I'd say so,
Mhm.
which is sort of what this is emulating. Everyone's sort of got like that southern drawl.
Yeah.
Except for, I mean, Lightning doesn't really have an accent.
Well, a lot of the actors are like Southern people.
Southern, yeah.
Yeah.
The IMDb review of this is exhaustive. I did cut some stuff out, but it like
Oh boy.
mentions the make and model of every character, and if that's a reference, so that'll unearth some interesting stuff. But one thing I just have to get off the bat, because you were when Cody was talking about Lightning growing as a character, it just dawned on me with like he's a rookie. Can we just get the how are cars born out of the way right now? Because like he has no friends, but but I was like, oh, like surely he would have had friends. Like part of his character is that he doesn't have any friends. But I was like, surely he would have had some before he became a race car driver. But he is a race car. So if he's a rookie, was he born like that year?
He's 1 year old. Yeah,
He's
maybe.
1 year old. He might be. I don't know.
1 year old. It
What's
could be, but I don't know.
Sally is a 2003 Porsche, which it says in here. She's only 3 years old. If this is 2006, in whatever alternate Earth.
What is his make and model?
I don't know. Lightning is a standard stock car. That's it.
Yeah. In fact, I was reading, I think it was on like a fandom page that, as I was
like
reading
the
through
wiki?
what
The
used to
Cars
be known as
Wiki?
Wiki, or the
Oh.
Pixar Wiki, I think. I think there's a Cars universe and a Pixar Wiki, but I was looking that up
Actually.
and, his body type is like several different cars put together. The biggest one that I was able to pull out was like, a Corvette, though it's
Yeah.
not specifically a Corvette, maybe like a Corvette with like a couple different add-ons
Yeah.
or aftermarket parts. I don't know, but it could be.
Aftermarket parts is a weird concept in this universe.
I know. I know.
It's like organ donors. Oh my gosh. We'll get into, there's going to be a lot of discussion there. I think we'll just jump into the review. The movie begins with two announcers, Bob Cutlass, voiced by Bob Costas, and Daryl Cartrip, voiced by Daryl Waltrip. I guess they're commentators. I don't know. Preparing for the opening of the Dynaco 400, the final race in the Pistons Cup Series, the most famous and prestigious race in the United States. So far this racing season, 3 racers have emerged as the most likely candidates for Piston Cup Championship. All 3 of them tied for the season's points lead. I don't know how racing works. If any of you do, you can explain that to me. There's number 43, Strip Weathers, a.k.a. The King, voiced by Richard Petty, modeled after one of the Petty's real 1970 Plymouth Superbirds. Okay. A longtime racing veteran who already has 7 Piston Cups to his credit. She's 7? And is rumored to be retiring at the end of the current season. Number 86, Chick Hicks, another veteran racer, a 1980s Buick Regal voiced by Michael Keaton. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. And a longtime second banana. Don't like that. He spent his entire racing career coming in second by the King. And number 95, Lightning McQueen, a rookie, standard stock car voiced by Owen Wilson. This is his first year in the racing circuit, and his performance has been nothing short of incredible. Speculation is that he might be the first driver to win the Piston Cup, Rookie of the Year, and Dynaco sponsorship in one sweep. We'll break there for the intro. Geez, 7? I don't remember that detail that the King had won 7. That makes him a bigger player than anyone in the franchise, because even in like Cars 2 and 3, Lightning hasn't gotten that many.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten like 4 by Cars 2, I think, and Doc Hudson had gotten 3. But
Yeah, they like made Doc Hudson like specifically to be like this super legendary.
yeah, I think they should have given him maybe more. Maybe.
Yeah, because like if he has 7,
It just makes one issue I have with this movie is that it tries to force this comparison between Doc Hudson and the King, but really they do not have that much in common.
mm-hmm.
He has 7 and he's retiring, and Doc had 3 and then crash and burn and all that. And then at the end, when they like draw that direct comparison, even like having a flashback, I'll get there when I get there, but that scene just really bugs me now, realizing like he's retiring anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But whatever. I didn't realize that Michael Keaton voiced Chick. That's hilarious. I didn't know he was that big of a voice actor, but I guess he is. Right. Continuing onward. Now the final race of the season to decide the winner of the Piston Cup is about to begin. As the race proceeds, Hicks, who is clearly willing to do anything to succeed, sideswipes another car, causing the inevitable multi-car pileup. Lightning is barely able to dart through the wreckage and keep up with the lead cars. Then to cement his hold in the lead, McQueen stays out of the lead lap while everyone else pits. The commentators mentioned that McQueen has recently fired his 3rd crew chief, offering the explanation that Lightning prefers to work alone. Throughout the race, Lightning refuses to make complete pit stops, taking only a few seconds each lap to refuel. This strategy backfires in the last lap when his tires explode. McQueen makes a valiant effort to get across the line first, but the race ends in an absolute dead heat. Discuss.
There's so much murder in this first race.
No. When I started watching it, I had it off to the side and I was working on homework. And the thought came to me like, if you showed just the audio of this movie to a person who had no idea what the movie was, at what point would they realize that everyone is a car? And I think it's not until like 15 minutes in that it becomes apparent. Like you could go through the entire first race and just be like, okay, yeah, they're racing.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't think they. Yeah, there's a lot of murder, which I think it's definitely the funniest to me part of the movie. When like there's the 2 cars on top of each other and the guy getting dragged off, being like, I could still race.
Oh yeah.
I've recently gotten into, which made me understand this a little more, watching the iRacing circuit, which is virtual racing, specifically Penny Arcade doing it. It's like a pretty good like almost flight simulator levels accuracy to racing. And a big thing is tire temperature and like making sure you have cool tires or warm tires at certain points. And Lightning never changes his tires, which means overall he should be going slower. And of course they blow out because he's been going 200 laps just on tires that are just getting hotter and hotter. I don't know. He is like, as the King says later, he's stupid. And like I don't know, the whole like I work alone. It's a little tropey, but I guess it works.
Was it tropey back then though?
Maybe. I don't know. it doesn't really make that much sense for racing. You kind of need a crew chief,
Yeah.
like especially like a spotter as well, that sort of thing. In Speed Racer, they do it in helicopters, but in this, they're looking at the cameras, which like so like you he doesn't have because he doesn't have rear view mirrors or anything. The crew
Right.
chief would be telling him like there's someone like behind it to the left of you, behind it to the right of you, trying to slingshot past you or stuff like that. Which he doesn't have, and he completely ignores.
I don't know why you wouldn't have rear view mirrors though. Like, wouldn't that make you a better racer?
I mean, you should have. They do this weird thing where when he gets one at the end, and it comes like out of the top of his head.
I don't not remember that.
Yeah,
What?
that's where it comes out.
Is that?
Like because Mater's got his like here, so he can see them, but Lightning's literally like pops up like this at the top of his head. So it's like, I guess it's to represent like a rearview mirror that would be like in the cockpit of the car.
Yeah, but it's like on his head.
It's on his head, so
But on his head.
he installed a third eye to look
Oh,
behind him. It's really weird. You should have just gotten like, I don't know.
Or just real actual rear view mirrors, like in the back of my picture here.
Yeah, like they've got
Like they've got, and he's got one, but it's fake, I guess.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Oh,
mean,
also,
The
I noticed that chick on the back of his car, it says that he's sponsored by Hostile Takeover Bank.
yeah.
So, whatever that is. Apparently,
they tried a little bit with the funny sponsorships in this movie. Like the medicated bumper ointment is obviously like old person cream.
Yeah.
Dynaco is of course the gas station from every Pixar movie. If like again, I'm gonna bring up Speed Racer. I didn't think I'd be bringing that up during this podcast, but I guess I will.
Very relevant.
The funny sponsorships are so much better in that movie. Like a good example, like there's this group of racers that are sponsored by Colonel Colon, which is a dietary supplement, and like the bumper will have like the Colonel on it and be like first in, last out. And stuff like that. Just like the little details you notice on the back of people's cars. It's really good. And like I believe in the video game you can actually play as the Colonel, which is which is
We
really
still
dumb.
talking about
and they're
Speed
all
Racer?
yeah, it's talking about Speed Racer, yeah, and they're all dressed like in the movie it's during the sand portion, and they're all dressed as like soldiers, and they have camo cars.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's real dumb. I don't remember who the Vikings are sponsored by, but it's something equally dumb. The scene where he's like ambling towards the end always stressed me out as a kid, and surprisingly, it's still a pretty intense scene. I think it's pretty well done. And then they go and make him stretch his tongue out over the finish line.
Yeah, why
That's how
couldn't
he
you just
ties.
actually done it? Like,
I don't know. I feel like you'd have enough because he was in the final stretch when his tires started blowing. I feel like you might have enough momentum to just keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never driven. I've never
Stock
driven
cars?
in real life without tires.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think most race cars are like rear wheel. So I mean, if your back tires blow out, you're not going anywhere.
Oh right.
So
That was
I
his
mean,
front tire, right?
His
It was
his,
his-
his
it was
back.
his-
His
it was
back
his
ones
back
go
tires.
first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think his fronts go as well. I'm not sure.
no, he still has his two fronts intact. I mean, he's just basically, when the one back tire
Just
blows out,
crawling.
he could still go, but then when the second one goes, he's just leaping towards the finish line, and
It's probably at the tongue part that you'd realize that they are cars. Actually, now that I think about it, it's probably a lot sooner in the movie. It's like, win it by a tongue. What? Oh, it's so dumb. Pixar humor goes that direction a few times in every movie. Like also like when he jumps up and his tongue is just like waggling and it's like too long. Also all the cars have teeth, and some have more detailed teeth than other people, and it's really uncomfortable. Like if you look at yours, it's just like a straight line of white, which is all right.
Hmm.
But then there's like the really rusty car in the tent when he
Oh
goes to
yeah,
Rusty's, whose bottom jaw falls off, and he's got like detailed individual teeth. It's gross.
this makes him more gross. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Continuing onward. Reporters interview Lightning while the judges argue over the result. McQueen repeats again that he is a one-man show. His pit crew, fed up with Lightning's shoddy treatment, quit in the middle of the interview. Chick and Lightning trade insults until the King comes over to have a word with Lightning. The King tells McQueen that his talent is extraordinary, but his attitude is stupid. Lightning can't win without a good team behind him. Lightning's idea of a good team is Danico, the most prestigious sponsor in the racing circuit. And the King's current sponsor, Lightning, is certain that if he wins the Piston Cup, he'll be offered the chance at a Danico sponsorship, which I thought was just what you get for winning, but okay. An announcement regarding the outcome of the race comes over the loudspeakers. Officials declare that a tiebreaker race between Chick, Lightning, and the King will be held in California next week to determine the championship. Lightning meets with his transporter, Mac, a 1980 Mac Superliner truck voiced by John Ratzenberger. After the announcement, Mac reminds McQueen that he needs to make a personal appearance for his sponsor, Rusty's. Lightning films a commercial for Rusty's and talks to a group of rusted-out vehicles brought to the personal appearance by Rusty and Dusty. Oh my gosh. Heads of the company, voiced by Car Talk hosts and brothers Tom and Ray Magliozzi, respectively. Easter egg, I guess. McQueen forcefully puts on a good face for the crowd, but is obviously unhappy working for a small-time group. So they are brothers. Okay, that makes some of the jokes they make more sense.
I don't remember any of the jokes he made.
The big like Pixar "this is for the parents" one. Actually, there's a few in this scene. When he's like, "Oh, they're just stickers. He doesn't have headlights." Yeah, because the track is always lit. It's like, "Oh, my brother's always lit, but he still needs headlights."
Oh yeah.
It's a weed joke. There's a few times where they make nut jokes in this movie with specifically lug nuts and stuff. Like in this, they're doing a rhyme where like it'll something or something and freeze your, and then they pause. They don't say nuts, like even though whatever. And then later Mater says that he would give his left two to lug nuts for something.
Yeah.
Which is just so on.
It's very hick.
It's so on the nose, and I hate it. Oh yeah, like I don't feel like it must have been a while since I watched this movie before, but the Rusties being like old people ointment didn't really make sense to me until this viewing, because I guess I get those commercials now on TV. It's just like the moderate severe plaque psoriasis commercials. It's like that. Oh, and it makes the rusty old cars gross because you're imagining them as like warty old people or something. And then he leaves, and we got John Ratzenberger in another role. I think he might.
I'm gonna say though,
is John Ratzenberger still alive?
I don't know who that is.
I know Joe Rampt is not alive. He died before the movie.
Oh my
premiered.
gosh! Can we talk about that for a second? When I saw it,
no, he's still alive.
I was like, they had to continue making this movie after the director died. Like, no.
That stinks.
Oh man.
Did he die mid-production?
I think so, because he's on the credits.
He would have had to, unless it was like. Yeah, I'm interested at what point in production did he die? I mean, well, animated films don't have the typical like production, post-production, because they're kind of doing all of that at the same time.
Right.
If you haven't watched the Frozen documentary, it's an absolute mess how they make films over there.
Oh boy.
Where they'll have like most of it fully animated, and they're like, okay, we're changing this major plot point, we got to re-record audio and then animate different stuff. Like, what?
Oh no.
Jeez.
I didn't make that connection. That's unfortunate. Yeah, John Ratzenberger's still alive. I was thinking of the actor who played Slinky in Toy Story, not the actor who plays Ham.
That's the one that coughs all the time.
Is Ham in? I don't remember Ham in like Toy Story 4.
Who's Ham?
He's the piggy bank.
The piggy bank.
Is he even in that
Oh.
movie?
Toy Story 4.
I don't know.
Okay, that's beside that. That's a different topic, but I'm curious.
I definitely don't remember enough of that movie.
I don't recall he was. I don't think he was, I mean. But
Is
I could
Was
be
Ham-
wrong.
Ham played by John Hamm?
He appears once in a flashback 9 years prior to the third and fourth. So he only appears in a flashback. Okay, weird. Who knew? Anyway, yeah. Anything else for that part, or are we going
Yeah.
on the road?
Why does so like when the part where like they're like
In your background,
no, not this part.
that part we
I have
all
no
get.
comment on
We
this
all,
part.
that part really just made me roll my eyes. I was like, I get,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the one that every like the like annoying kid at school would be like, "Hey, did you know when they flash their headlights, it's because they're flash." Like, yeah, I know, I know, and it's not funny. Especially Lightning's reaction, just being like, "I love being me," like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then like later, the way he acts towards Sally when he first meets her, like, how am I supposed to like this guy? I guess not.
Also,
What
that brings
were
up
you-
another thing because he's with his weird thing. He's technically flashing everybody else. If this is flashing, is he
Yeah,
also
see,
flashing people
it's-
too?
It's just another one of those things that like it's there for the joke and that's the only purpose. Because it's those model car that they have the, which if they're that model car, they're older than Lightning by a lot.
Yeah, I think I read that, the cars in Cameron's background are first generation Mazda Miatas, and I think those came out in 1992.
Yeah,
So
so
they're
they're like
significantly older than Lightning.
significantly older than Lightning.
Oh boy.
Which I guess I always imagine them as being like teenagers or something, but I guess
Yeah. They sound like teenagers.
I don't know. Nothing in this universe makes sense. Even within the confines of the Pixar theory. This is the one part where the Pixar theory is like, please believe this part.
Yeah.
It's like mostly it's like, okay, yeah, okay. And then the robots took over and they turned themselves into cars and lived like humans.
Ooh, the Matrix.
Mm.
This is the real world outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah, I'm like, cause it's like, yeah, like this is supposed to be happening like during Wall-E, like
What?
like the humans leave, this happens, and then Wall-E happens, I think. And because of what, okay, well, maybe I'll talk about the Pixar theory on the Wildcast.
Yeah.
I could do an episode on that. I will do an episode on that. Okay. On the road with Mac. I mean, did you have something else to say, Cameron?
I guess, yeah.
Um,
So there's a point where where McQueen and is like envisioning himself with Dinoco, and then he like gets blue or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does not look good blue. And then he like
No.
envisions Chick blue, and I'm like, he doesn't look good blue either. Why is being sponsored by Dinoco make you blue?
I guess
And why does none of them look good blue?
I guess he's red because Rusty's color is red. And
Oh,
whatever
maybe, okay.
Chicks sponsored by a bank, so green. And the Dinoco blue, like, yeah, like it, I guess this thing in racing that your color has something to do with your sponsor.
Mm.
Maybe. And it's specifically Dinoco blue, like it's a Pantene color of the year.
Right.
Um,
Although Chick has like a billion sponsors.
oh yeah, he's
Like-
got a bunch.
Yeah, so
'Cause
I
he's-
don't know.
He's been around as long, or slightly less as long than the king, because he's like says like his entire career he's been coming in second place,
Hmm.
which kind of makes me feel bad for him.
So
but
he
he's
got
also a
second
jerk,
place
so
for 7 Piston Cups.
yeah.
Oh man.
I can kind of understand his rage at that point.
Mhm.
I mean, why not just last out the king? If you always come in second place, then like you don't have to try super hard. He retires this year. then
Right,
you're
yeah.
free to win next year, I guess. But he likes, you always gotta have the one racer who's willing to do anything to win.
Yeah.
Like you've got like Snake Oiler and Royalton and Speed Racer, and this you've got Chick. I can't think of any other racing movies. Cars 2. You've got the Italian guy.
I haven't seen Ford versus Ferrari, so I don't know. I feel like there's probably one in there though.
I watched the Grand Tour episode about the race that's based on,
Oh,
and I don't remember if there's a drunk driver in there anywhere. I just know that Ford won, I think. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, continuing onward. On the road with Mac, Lightning is desperate to be the first competitor to arrive in California. He refuses to let Mac stop off and rest, forcing him to drive on through the night. While on the Interstate 40, Mac is confronted by a gang of street drivers while he is drowsy, who force him onto the shoulder. The vibration from the rumble strips, this is the best part about this synopsis, is that it goes into this sort of detail, parentheses, designed to alert drowsy drivers that they are drifting off the road. Thanks, IMDb. Accidentally causes a lightning figurine to land on the button that opens the back door of the truck and causes the sleeping Lightning to fall out. Lightning, terrified about being lost, desperately rushes to try and find Mac, but ends up leaving the highway at the next exit and following a semi that he thinks is Mac, but turns out to be a Peterbilt, who rudely tells McQueen to turn on his headlights. While Lightning is speeding, he gets lost in the dark country roads. He passes a police car, played by Michael Wallace, waiting in a speed trap, who pulls out and chases after Lightning. Lightning pedals for it when he hears the police car backfiring, thinking he's being shot at. Lightning loses control, spinning wildly and becoming entangled in several power lines. He tears through the small town and ends up shredding a large gash down the main street before finally coming to a stop in front of the sheriff. This
it's a lot.
scene. Lightning is stupid
Yeah.
because, first of all, he leaves the interstate, which, why would Mac be turning off the interstate? He wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he gets to that car, he's like, oh, I've got to go back to the interstate. Instead of just going back the way he came, he takes a different turn.
He goes down the road and we see the road sign, Route 66. Thinking like, that's no interstate, pal.
He went off the off-ramp in a straight line past the train tracks, and then there was a T-junction.
Right.
He could have just gone back in a straight line. Assumedly, there's an on-ramp there somewhere. But instead, he turns left. Which I guess maybe, like, if there wasn't an on-ramp there as well, which I don't think there was. Left is... No, there's gotta be.
Yeah. There's almost always an on-ramp if there's an off.
He broke so many traffic laws. Just go back.
Yeah.
No one's gonna care. You're a race car. And gosh, yeah, the whole the car gang people.
Oh, the three punk people, yeah.
Yeah. They try to murder Mac, which I always thought was an interesting note to the movie, where they just push him. Oh, he gets woken up at the rumble strip, but they could have just pushed him off the road there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mac doesn't get woken up by the rumble strip. He gets woken up by, I think, the snot rod sneezing.
Oh,
And-
yeah, that is what wakes him up.
Yeah, that's what
is
wakes
it-
him up.
Oh, I get it. It's a hot rod, snot rod.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a
Oh
good
my
joke.
gosh.
That's a good joke. Good job, John Lasseter. I'm going to credit John Lasseter with all the dumb jokes.
That's fair.
This movie was like his baby. It's like there's like the story of like him and I believe Ed Catmull like sat down in a diner or something, and they wrote down on a napkin all of their ideas, and like Toy Story and Bugs Life and Wall-E and a bunch of stuff came from
Drew
that.
a car with a human
And,
face.
like-
We gotta make this.
Yeah, and then like John Lasseter is like, I want to do a car movie, and Ed's like, I don't want to do a car movie. And then they got more and more successful, and John's like, I'm making my car movie, and I'm gonna make 5 of them.
Gosh.
Cars 3 and then Planes 1 and 2. He got 5 movies And Bugs Life.
Please.
Bugs Life deserves a sequel more than Cars. I love Bugs Life. If anything should get a sequel, it's that.
Anyway,
Anyway,
one thing I noticed is like, so there's like a camera on Mac so that McQueen can see him, but
yeah.
there's no camera. It's in
There's
front of him.
no-
Like, how?
Yeah, I thought about that too. Because he can see lightning, but he never notices that lightning's not there.
Yeah.
The whole drive to California, when he like, maybe it's like the phone that lightning uses, where it like comes out of the wall, that like it like extends out of his head.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because it's obviously a screen, because he's looking at lightning, unless it's just a camera and he's like.
I don't know.
There's a few parts of this movie that there's one I'll probably forget when we get there. At the end of the movie, when lightning says, yeah, it's back on the map, they wanted to have him actually point at a map, and they storyboarded so many ideas of how to make that happen. Like it would like come out of his trunk, or like
Oh yeah,
the
like
windows,
putt-putt. Like he has a
yeah,
little
yeah.
pointer.
He's got a little pointer, or the windows roll down and there's a monkey inside, or something dumb like that. Or it's just on the ground and he points to it, and they're like, what if we just have him say it's on the map and don't have him point to it? And they're like, oh yeah, there we go. And that just shows that the creators of this movie always went with the most complicated option first.
Yeah.
Such as, let's give Mac a camera so that he can see lightning, but not actually show a camera when we're on the outside of it, when we could just have him talking to him.
Right. Like, oh man.
Like, you never show Mac. You never show Marv, his agent.
Right, yeah.
And I don't believe, I mean, he probably shows up in Cars 3, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. You probably
That
fired
seems
him.
seems, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a.
Yeah,
I
he's a
think,
one-man show, but he has an agent.
yeah, I think it would have been implied like towards the end of this the first Cars, that it would be that, you know, he fires his agent shortly after the
Maybe.
race.
His agents. Maybe, unless has the same attitude as he does towards Rusty's, where it's like, he gave me my big break.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to watch. I'm not gonna watch Cars 2 and 3.
Yeah,
'cause I
don't.
don't want to. Unless we get. Have we done a Pixar wheel yet? Yeah, we've already done a Pixar wheel. I don't remember what we watched.
Is this the Pixar wheel?
We watched Finding Dory for the Pixar wheel. No, this was the Cars wheel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we already got Finding Dory, and that was pretty good. Yeah, the Radiator Springs, it's a cool location. Like, I admit, it's still cool to go there in Cars Land and be like, oh, it's the thing, it's from a movie. And you got all the different characters pretty well introduced. And lightning wrecks the town, which was, credit where it's due, pretty clever how they made that happen when he's a car. He does like the town founder statue, and then we get one good joke where the hippie, says, "Fly away, Stanley, be free." I'll give that. That's a good joke. It's still funny.
Thanks, Lassiter.
I don't get the whole dynamic that's between the Volkswagen. Is that the hippie? He's a Volkswagen?
Yeah.
VW microbus.
Yep. And I'm glad. See, this is why we got Cody on. I didn't know you were a car guy, but I guess that's a good thing to have. And the army truck, the Jeep or whatever.
Oh yeah, they're a little like
called,
feud or whatever.
Yeah, is that supposed to be a reference to something?
It's supposed to be a reference to, I think.
Oh, like the Vietnam War, like them, like
to the Vietnam War era, or something like that.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's like
especially
dry joke.
when he's like got the American flag up, and he's like, oh yeah, that checks out.
And he, when Sarge tells Fillmore to when the national anthem plays with Jimi Hendrix on guitar playing
Yeah.
the national anthem, say, "Will you turn that stuff off? Respect the classics, man."
Yeah.
That was the difference. I mean, there's that, there's that secondary tension.
Okay. So that to me that implies that those two have been in that town since the Vietnam War and have just never gotten over
Oh man.
that. I don't want to know how wars worked and if he was a draft dodger and even how that would work. You just draft all of these random cars and attach guns to them. You know, from Cars 2, you can attach a gun to pretty much anything.
Currently, yeah.
Apparently.
Where was I going with that?
I
There's that
don't know.
joke. There's that joke later when Lightning is helping out the town, and he's like, "Oh, why haven't I heard of this? Like, it's a conspiracy, man. The oil companies have control over the government."
It was the gas scene where he's trying
Yeah.
Fillmore's organic gas.
Yeah, and when I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a conspiracy at the time. It's just sort of understood that the oil companies have a lot of supporters in Congress." But I guess back then it'd be like, "Oh, he's crazy."
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would have been until a decade
Until-
later when you had energy crisis. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, 2006. We were so naive. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, every third blink is slower because he's yeah, the 60s weren't kind to you. Yeah, is he high then, or is it just a remnant of him constantly during the 60s?
Oh, he's all jacked up like Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess that's the joke. Gosh, we didn't even talk about the Elvis car. That
What?
made me want. That made
Oh.
me want to punch the
Oh
screen
gosh, yeah.
when he does that. And then he does that. I was like, no, movie, stop. Anyway, the next morning, Mac arrives at the track alone, and a huge manhunt begins to try and find Lightning McQueen. Lightning wakes up in an impound lot strapped to the parking booth and confronted by a rusted tow truck named Mater, voiced by Larry the Cable Guy. Mater
Yay.
tells Lightning that he is in the town of Radiator Springs, a spot just off old U.S. Route 66. The sheriff shows up to take Lightning to court for his actions. The other citizens of Radiator Springs. Here we go. I don't think it says all the car names, though. Fillmore, voiced by George Carlin, who owns a shop selling his own organic fuel. Luigi, voiced by Tony Shalhoub. And Guido, voiced by Guido Garoni, who run a tire shop. Ramon, voiced by Cheech Marin. Is that the Cheech of Cheech and Chong?
yeah, that's
I think it
Cheech
is.
Marin.
Okay. Who runs a paint body shop. Flo, voiced by Jennifer Lewis, who runs a gas station / cafe, which is just the same thing in a Cars universe. Sarge, voiced by Paul Dooley. Humvee, who sells surplus. Lizzie, voiced by Katherine Helmond, an antiques dealer. And Red, voiced by Joe Ranft, or more like
Wait,
cried by Joe Ranft.
what?
The town's fire truck, all have all turned out to demand punishment for lightning reckless driving, which caused a large amount of damage to the town. The town's physician and judge, Doc Hudson, voiced by Paul Newman, arrives to try McQueen's case. At first, Doc is ready to impose serious hard time on the culprit, but upon getting a close look at Lightning's orders him thrown out of town. A female interrupts the judge's rulings. IMDb, be better.
Yeah, what the heck?
And Lightning
Come on, name him.
and Lightning is immediately smitten. But the newcomer, Sally Carrera, voiced by Bonnie Hunt. Oh, okay. A 2002, I had the year wrong. A 2002 Porsche 911. So she's 4 years old. Is the town's attorney. Sally persuades Doc to sentence Lightning to community service and repair the damage to the road. Doc relents, telling Lightning that he will be set free once the road is finished, which at his estimate would take 5 days. When Mater brings out Bessie, a massive asphalt paving machine, Lightning makes a break for it as soon as his parking boot is undone, leaving Mater to quip that he should have undone the boot after Lightning was hooked up. But Lightning only makes it a few miles out of town before he breaks down. Sally and the sheriff catch up with him and laugh at his attempt, explaining that they have siphoned Lightning's gas tank.
So, is this before or after Aladdin? I'm assuming it's after, right?
Yeah, Aladdin was in the
So-
90s.
Did they just like have Larry the Cable Guy just like riff the whole movie, like kind of just
Oh,
improvise a lot of his lines?
like what they did with Robin Williams.
Hmm.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. He's riffing a lot of the time, and it's not as funny as Robin Williams because Larry the Cable Guy is not as funny as Robin Williams. If we have any
Yeah.
viewers that like Larry the Cable Guy,
Watch another show.
We can only apologize.
yeah, we can only apologize. I know I won't. I'll apologize for some, but I won't apologize for not liking Larry the Cable Guy. Mater's just
Uh,
Jar Jar levels of annoying. But
Mm.
Jar Jar wasn't the fault of the actor. That was the fault of the writing. Larry's at fault for this, and maybe
Yeah.
John Lasseter. Oh, especially in the second one. Why did they give Mater his own movie? Did they?
we got his own
did,
TV show too.
did yeah, they've got all the Cars shorts that
Mhm.
are all based on Mater. Did kids really like Mater? I don't remember
I remember
myself.
liking him as a kid.
I guess I remember liking him as a kid. I thought he was funny. Um,
So it must be like strictly like kid humor in
yeah,
terms of like his humor in this movie.
is Mater an offensive stereotype?
I don't know. It could.
I-
It depends on context.
It depends on context. For me, I'd say it is, unless that is just how Larry the Cable Guy acts normally. Then it's just Larry the Cable Guy. If he's like putting on an act, then yeah, but yeah, whatever. And
Who really cares?
Rusty old car and like the joke every time he toes lightning and he's like, oh. When he
Oh
puts his
yeah,
foot
that's
that's dumb.
Also in the
Why
court
isn't-
scene.
Yes.
Oh, you can go.
Court scene. Go to the court scene.
Oh, okay.
That's a fun one.
In
Yeah,
the court
it's
scene, there's
traffic court because they're cars.
oh my gosh. Why? Anyway, so behind Doc Hudson, there's this picture of Lady Justice, and it's a car.
Oh, there
But
is.
Instead of like having it like hold a thing, it's like a crane that comes out of her back.
I did not notice
And then
that.
there's like a blindfold, but I think it's like on the crane rather than over like the eyes where it should be.
Huh.
It's super weird.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah. I was like, what? I had
that
like
does-
pause the movie and
That does remind me, like a while ago, I had the thought of like, has Cars made a Chrysler joke? Like a Jesus Chrysler joke? And they actually do in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. It's in one of the end credits thing. I'm just gonna say it now. In the vein of Lady Justice, because I'll forget it later. When the couple, the two minivans are lost in the wilderness, and she's like, "For the love of Chrysler," when she just asked for directions, and I was like, "Oh, they made the joke. Good job."
I must have bailed halfway through those end credits. 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't remember a
They,
lot of
they
those.
keep going. Oh, there's a lot of them, and we'll talk about all of them in detail. The traffic. I guess it makes sense how Doc Hudson is the town doctor or whatever, because as a former race car, he would know how to fix cars. Maybe.
It could be.
Maybe he went to
Oh,
medical
there's a
school
really
after.
bad joke in the doctor's office later in the movie, and I don't want to talk about it. We'll get there when we get there.
Oh,
And so he has to do community service, which is like not at all how that would work. You would probably be like fined, but I guess it's like, oh, it's a hodunk town, so they're gonna do their
version.
country justice and have him fix it. Interesting that Bessie. I don't know what kind of thing Bessie is. If it's specifically a thing that is always towed, then I guess it makes sense that she's not alive. But I was confused why Bessie isn't
there's, like,
alive.
Tractors that are cows,
Yes.
which I mean, Bessie could very possibly be some sort of other animal or whatever.
Yeah, could have been. like trailers are like trailers. In later movies, they show like RVs and stuff, and they're alive even if they're being towed. Gosh, in Planes 2, there's even a boat that's getting towed and like gets left
Oh.
behind, and he can't go anywhere because he's not on water. It's in the trailer. And I'm interested in what Big Al was when they mentioned that. Like the only person who can pull Bessie is Big Al. Like Big Al left years ago. You know she's senile, so that's like her whole character is a joke.
Yep.
I don't know cars. What would pull that? Like a
Maybe just a-
truck?
That's probably what I'm assuming.
Like a big
Some sort of truck.
big one.
Yeah, like
Why
those,
not Sarge? Isn't he a truck? Or
He's
at
a
least
Humvee.
something close to
it's
it?
a Jeep.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
feel like
sure,
they
you
have
may
more
have a
power,
little bit of
right?
towing power, but not that much.
Yeah, but the race car has towing power because he can go fast.
Horsepower equals towing power.
Oh, I learned something fun about how horsepower works, and horsepower is dumb. So we can all assume that it's not 1-to-1 a horse to a car, because actually a horse has about 10 horsepower. The way horsepower is measured is, I don't remember how much weight it is. It's like 10 pounds or something like that. I don't know. It's in the metric system. So it's horsepower is the amount of time it takes to lift an amount of weight up in the air 3 feet. So like assumedly lifting a horse up 3 feet by a pulley system.
And that's horsepower.
Yeah. And a horse has like 2 horsepower or something like that. It's dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So horsepower is a concept in this universe. Rationalize that however you see fit. What would a horse be? Like one of those semi trucks that hauls cars.
Maybe, yeah. Well,
No.
that is Mac, though.
I think in Cars 2 they have a double-decker bus that cars are riding on top of. Or something. I
Oh,
don't know.
man.
Mac is basically a horse. Or is Mac a car for cars? No, he isn't.
He's definitely a trucker. He's got a trucker hat on.
Mhm.
Oh, he does. That's dumb.
Yeah, it
The
is.
next morning, Mac arrives at the track alone. Nope, I already read that part. The townsfolk watch as Lightning begins repaving the road. Lightning tries to convince them all of his fame in the hopes of being set free. He almost convinces Luigi by mentioning his status as a race car, but Luigi loses interest after, when it turns out he only cares about meeting a real Formula One race car. Lightning, remembering the deal, he goes free when the road is done, hauls the paving machine at full throttle, running down the road and creating an uneven and bumpy finish. The townspeople are insulted by his attitude and his work. Doc challenges Lightning to a race. If Lightning wins, he goes off free. If Doc wins, Lightning has to scrape off the current layer of pavement and do the road all over again. Lightning accepts, not seeing Doc as a threat. At a dirt course on the outskirts, Lightning rockets off the starting line, but Doc doesn't even move. As he speeds into the first turn of the course, Lightning's tires fail in the dirt and he crashes. Actually, it's the third turn of the course, but whatever. IMDb, you're wrong. Doc
that
wins
first
by
turn's
default.
like that
is
weird
the-
sideways.
yeah. Lightning reluctantly turns to work, scraping up the pavement, grumbling the whole time. Several of the townsfolk offer Lightning their services. Luigi sells tires. Fillmore supplies organic fuel. Ramon offers custom paint jobs, etc. But Lightning is too frustrated with the situation to accept anything from them. Yeah, it's the third turn. And that brings me to something I forgot to talk about earlier. The whole, like, I need to get to California thing so you can... Oh, it's just Schmooze Dynaco, which is dumb because they're just going to offer it to whoever who wins. While I was watching the movie, I was thinking it was to practice, but I was like, oh, the tracks are the same, so you don't need to practice.
You gotta practice that left turn.
Yeah, unless if it's a Formula One track, like, yeah, you have to practice those.
Right.
like they'll do streams in the iRacing circuit of just like repeatedly practicing a track to get it down, and like everyone will be like spinning off on like turns and stuff because you just don't know the track yet.
Hmm.
But no, this is just left turns. They do make that joke. I think like the F1 car makes that joke to Lightning in the second one, where he's like, where someone's like, "Oh, Lightning will drive circles around you," and he's like, "Oh, circles is all he knows how to drive. You turn left, and then you turn left again, and then you turn left again." Something like that. But yeah, we get the infamous dirt course. And the pit stop joke.
I don't know.
You know, I'm glad that they got judging by the names, they're both Italian actors for the two Italian cars.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I would consider the Italian jokes in here in poor taste, but
I thought they were not
I guess
that bad.
they're not that bad. Guido only speaks. Okay, this is a trope, especially in animation, that really bugs me. Is the Guido trope? I'm going to call it, when a person only speaks a foreign language but understands fluently English.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It's purely played as a joke, so like the audience doesn't understand what they're saying, and they may have a silly accent, but they can still communicate with everyone.
Yeah.
Like he can say pit stop. He can speak English if he wants to, but he just doesn't. I mean, yeah, if like
Maybe he just
mostly the only
English like a dumb language.
yeah, he just doesn't want to speak English, and like the only person. How did those two end up in Radiator Springs? Everyone else is like southern
like the middle of
US.
Nevada or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like in Nevada or something. Like these two Italian, but they're like they've never met a Formula One car, so they're not from Italy, yet they have Italian accents. I guess just because the make and model of a car bestows the accent.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we are learning. We are figuring out so much about how this world works.
I hate it.
I hate all of it. I will give them credit for putting the eyes in the windshield. I think that looks a lot better than
having a human face, like that one plane show.
Like having a human face, like the plane show, or the Autopia in Disneyland is sponsored by them. They do animated stuff where like the headlights are the eyes.
Oh.
And then there's just the interior of the car. Yeah, that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything's like super low down. It's like the meme on like I think it's like a Vine meme or stuff where like you'd take out the nose and you just have like your eyes down here.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Or like the old like Nickelodeon thing where you'd have someone upside down and you put the eyes on the chin. That's what it looks like when you put the headlights on the eyes on the headlights. Does it make more sense being in the windshield? No. It's weird how they can blink and how it's one eyeball with two pupils. So maybe it's just a manufacturing thing with Guido that he can only speak Italian but understands English.
Dumb manufacturing thing.
Yes, it is. By the next morning, Doc finds that the road is about a third finished. Doc meets with the sheriff, who confirms that Lightning ran out of asphalt while working and spent the rest of the night trying to make the turn that caused him the wreck to the day before. Doc confronts Lightning, suggests that he turn right to go left. Lightning, extremely skeptical, tries it, but it backfires and sends him back over the edge of the cliff. Lightning resumes repaving the road when he suffers a slow leak in one tire. Guido begins to fix it, and Luigi explains that Guido dreams of working at a real racetrack pit stop. Sally, impressed by Lightning's work and his effect on the town, offers Lightning a place at the Cozy Cone Motel rather than another night at the impound. Lightning can't resist the opportunity to refuse. The sheriff places Mater in charge of watching lightning for the next night. Mater takes McQueen out to a remote field where they go tractor tipping, which involves creeping up to a tractor while it's sleeping, then startling it, which causes the tractor to rear up on its back wheels. Mater gives a demonstration of it, but is unable to tip more than one tractor at a time. Lightning revs his engine and causes every single tractor to tip over. They are almost caught by Frank, the huge threshing machine, who oversees the tractors. And have to speed away. On the way back to town, Mater shows off his skills as the world's best backwards driver, a talent that stuns Lightning. Mater proclaims Lightning to be his best friend, and Lightning seems to be genuinely touched by the affection. So we've got two things I want to talk about here of how Lightning is stupid.
Yeah.
One, the whole turn right to go left thing confused me as a kid. It was like it's like the mythical weird like talent, but really that's just how drifting works.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like what he just turns right when he tries it and it doesn't work. Because he says it before like that you don't have the three-wheel braking or whatever. So you have to pump it. So what you do is you go hard left, push it, then go hard right. And then like by the end, when you see like he's like going sideways and his tires are pointing in the right direction.
Oh, he's
basically
kind of
what it
like
is.
turning it while he's drifting
Yeah, that's just how
to make
drifting.
sure that the wheels don't keep.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
just how
okay.
drifting works. And usually like you pump the brakes a bit. I've watched every season of Grand Tour and Top Gear back with the original host, and I still know nothing about cars. That's embarrassing. I like binge watched over like one summer back when I think like Netflix first came out and they had all of the seasons of Grand Tour, and I watched all of them. And then afterwards I was like, nope, still don't know anything about cars. Did I say Top
Guess
Gear?
I'll
I
go
meant
watch
Top
the
Gear.
Cars movie.
Yeah, no more there.
Teach me about drifting.
And then like he doesn't know what rear view mirrors are. Like, how did you do that? He's like, rear view mirrors. I mean, still it is pretty
Must have
impressive.
been 1 year old. Like
He's like 1 year old, exactly. I think that's the key is that he's a rookie. It's his first year alive.
mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how they're like. Are there any children in the Cars franchise? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think everyone's an adult.
I feel like they've made a child. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. Are there any children in the Cars movies? I will be very disturbed if there are. There's also the all flies are bugs with wings, like both V bugs. There is one shot where there are real birds, but it's just a reference to one of the Pixar shorts when
What?
they're on
There's
the
real birds?
yeah when it's the there's like a pan. Yeah, it's a pan across a bunch of telephone wires, and it like passes by some birds, and that's just a reference to a Pixar short. So I do not consider it canon. As much as I don't want to discuss the canon of the Cars universe,
Yeah.
that's not a good time.
Well, there's those teenagers. I don't know if they were.
That's the closest you get.
Yeah.
But they're basically adults. They're just called the twins. I think it makes it creepy if they are teenagers.
Yeah, I guess they do have to be adults for this whole flashing thing to work.
I mean, insert John Lasseter joke here. Anyway, continuing onwards. Frank is alive, but is also an animal. He's like a bull, I'm assuming, because he's got like the ring. And I believe in one of the shorts, it's like El Matador Mater, where he's a matador, and the bull in the arena is a threshing machine. Which of all vehicles to make a bull,
Yeah.
I guess they eat grass. He's just I mean, maybe because he's just a larger cow. That's what they went with. Because it's like a larger tractor. I don't know. No, well, It's frustrating.
That's how tractors work.
We get the really awkward scene with Sally and Lightning where she asks if he wants to stay at the motel.
Oh, and he like goes into like this really long explanation of the
Yeah,
pun.
of the pun. And she's like, yeah, I figured out. He's 1 year old, I swear. And she's got a tramp stamp or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What?
what okay, like car wise, what is that supposed to be? Because he says like, oh, a little pinstriping tattoo, which like, first of all, dude, that's creepy to point out.
I don't think that was a pinstripe.
She's got
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
I think it was a butterfly tattoo. That's
Yeah.
at like the small, what would be on a human,
yeah,
like I know, at the small of the back.
Yeah.
But like car wise, what is that? Like, is that like some, because like there's something that like flips
Just a
up.
decal, I guess.
It's just a decal, but like there's like a mini trunk that like flips up to show it.
I don't remember that flipping up a trunk, but yeah, I guess it's just for the joke, having something.
Yeah,
flip
to
up.
sort of seed
Mm.
the idea that she's got a past.
As a okay. Yeah,
Or
As
maybe
a-
it's just like the stereotypical Californian young female. I don't know.
This typical 4-year-old Californian female. So if we're going by like Cars years, if this is a concept we're going with, where Lightning is 1 year old and he's like in his 20s. So if like one car year is 20 Cars years, then Sally is in her
80s.
Ugh.
Then yeah, but okay, that obviously doesn't work. I don't know, because like there's the one
Well, maybe it's
the
like
old
elf
lady is like
years.
yeah, like they live
So like they
super long.
live way longer
Like
than
the
100. Yeah.
the old car in the town is a old like Model T Ford, and
Mhm.
she looks like she would be close to 100.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He does the thing. The next day, everyone wakes up to find the road has been finished. Lightning now has his chance to leave, but instead chooses to stay behind and accept the services of the townsfolk, and because I guess he has a credit card or something, including new fuel from Fillmore, tires from Luigi, and a new paint scheme from Ramon. As the town celebrates into the night over the completion of their new road, a swarm of reporters and media vehicles swarm in to reclaim Lightning McQueen. Before he can explain anything or talk to any of the townsfolk, Lightning is loaded back onto Mac and sent off to California. Sally learns that Doc was the one who alerted the media to Lightning's location and is furious at his actions. Lightning arrives in California and begins preparing for the big race. With Max serving as his pit crew, the King and Chick Hicks get off to a decent start, but Lightning's memories of Sally and his time in Radiator Springs are interfering with his performance and cause him to lose time. As McQueen tries to pull himself together, Doc's voice comes out to McQueen's radio. He and most of the other Radiator Springs residents have come to encourage Lightning to serve as his pit crew. With Doc serving as crew chief and decked out in his old paint scheme, cameras in the crowd spot Doc and recognize the legendary Hudson Hornet has come out of retirement. Lightning rockets out of the pit area. My goodness, I need to make the font bigger. Desperate to catch up to the others as the laps wind down, Chick makes contact with Lightning and causes him to spin out. But moments later, Chick is surprised when Lightning zooms past him, driving backwards. Hicks then tries to force McQueen off the road, causing Lightning to blow a tire. Guido prepares for Lightning's arrival and then completes the fastest pit stop in Piston Cup history. That's not said in the movie, but whatever. By speed changing all 4 tires in under 4 seconds single-handed. Maybe that's confirmed in the second movie. I don't know. Shocking the forklifts on Chick's pit stop, such that they drop their mustache-shaped grills. Guido proudly tells off Chick's crew by saying, "Pete, stop," and it's spelled out P-E-E-T.
Oh my gosh.
They skip a couple things that in here. The drive that he takes with Sally, where she does all the
Yeah.
exposition of the interstate.
In the theater or whatever, the hotel?
Yeah,
hotel?
the wheel well. I want to see the inside of that. Which like it's back in business in the second movie, but they don't like show the inside. Like, what does a hotel look like for cars? Is it like a garage?
I guess. Did they
I
show that in
guess.
the second one? I feel like they've shown something like that in the
Yeah,
second
in
one.
the second one, they it shows a bit of the interior. It's like a diner, and Guido is serving drinks, and he disguises himself as a waiter, and they say waiter as a joke. And Lightning is on a date with Sally.
Oh boy.
I didn't expect to remember that much about Cars 2.
Yeah.
And then we get the joke where he goes to the doctor's office and the sheriff
Oh,
is being looked at,
gosh.
and he says, "Getting a nice view, city boy," or something like that. Which I don't know what that's supposed to be implying would be happening in a human version of that, and I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a joke for Cars. It's just a joke for Cars.
Thanks, John
be.
Lasseter.
Thanks, John Lasseter.
Thank you, John.
Also, there's a part where they're going looking over that overlook onto the town or whatever,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I fell in love with this," and then she takes him over there, and then they just do a panning shot of just the desert.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
And when they go under that ridge and there's the shot with the waterfall, I swear they take a few bars from Soarin' Over California and just put it into the movie. Because it sounds identical. Unless who did the soundtrack? It was probably Michael Giacchino. In a Disney movie, it usually is. Let me check. It was
Michael Keaton. Oh,
various artists. Nope, that's not what I want.
yeah, because Rascal Flatts did a couple songs. So
Randy Newman did the first one.
Okay.
Randy Newman. The third one was Michael Giacchino, and the second one was actually the third one is Dan
Aykroyd.
Auerbach.
Oh.
Nope. That's not the I need the score, not the soundtrack. iTunes. My goodness, there is a difference. It's probably Michael Giacchino. He does literally every Disney movie. And
That's fair.
Is awesome. He's really good. But yeah, I can see Randy Newman just. Am I really gonna look up who did the soundtrack to Soarin' Over California?
Yes, you are. And we're gonna wait.
Okay. Jerry Goldsmith. So no. But it sounds identical. And if that's a reference, then that's a cool reference. If not, then it just sounds similar. So what's going on here?
Where?
He gets all this stuff. Do you think that the reason he does so well in the race is because of the organic fuel? No, because he refuels with other stuff during the race, I think.
Wouldn't
Maybe.
a race car need special fuel? I think
Probably.
they do, right?
Yeah. Also, the cars get. I know I didn't want a lot of this review to be nothing in this world makes sense, but I'm sorry. That's just what the movie is.
Yeah.
They drink gas to put in their tank, but they can also put it in their gas tank like a normal car. That's like the human equivalent of that is that you drink water, but sometimes you just stick an IV in,
Yeah.
which is unpleasant.
Yeah.
Is this normal? I got an IV in. This is off topic.
Oh,
A week ago Thursday, and it still hurts where I got the IV put in. Granted, it was by a nursing student
Oh,
who was doing a residency at the hospital.
just
Yeah, she had to wiggle it around a little bit.
She had to go fishing for it. Ouch.
Yeah, and
oh boy.
I've got pretty exposed veins, so it should have been easy. But yeah, it still hurts, and I feel like that's bad. Anyway, yeah, that's what it would be like.
I guess. It's better than the other option.
I guess. Yeah, a suppository, you say. Yeah. It's.
uh,
I guess because they want to have they want to treat Flo's Cafe like it's a diner, so
yeah.
they just like they fill up a what looks like a milk can or something with fuel and then just like sip it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I do think that his paint job looks a lot better here than his racing one, and that he should have kept it. I believe he does use that look in 2 and 3, where it's got like the white and the lightning bolt inside it. Which looks cool. And for some reason, Lightning is an electrician and knows how to fix neon.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
It's like,
Oh, he fixed our neon.
he
How?
fixed our neon. How? He's 1 year old, and he knows how to fix neon.
He's born with that ability, I guess.
I guess he was born with that. Maybe like
Came soldered into the engine.
Yeah, I was half expecting it to be like, yeah, before I was a racer, I was an electrician. Which seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Then oh yeah, it also skips when he finds Doc's trophies, which is worth mentioning.
I guess.
After the dumb joke in the hospital, he finds Doc's trophies, and Doc's like, yeah, they're bad. And then he sees Doc race around. Is like, oh, you still got it. And like, oh no, I crashed, and then they didn't hire me back.
I got
Which,
like some
yeah,
Speed Racer vibes there. When I saw the crash, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Which I guess is a racing thing. That makes sense that stuff like that would happen. Like, oh, you're old news. And he's like, oh, I had a lot more to give him, but I never got to show it, which is sad, and also lessens his comparison to the king, which we'll get to. The race begins. We get the dumb joke. We're like, oh, I had to come. Mater didn't get to say goodbye. Guido doing the super fast pit stop is always funny to me.
Yeah.
I like that. And yeah, it says in the recap that it's the fastest one in history. In the movie, it only says like, I don't think I've ever seen one that fast. Maybe, I feel like that's something that's mentioned maybe in the second movie, where it's like, oh, he's got the fastest time in Piston Cup history. Because like Guido's still his pit crew, I think, in the second one.
I would assume so, yeah.
Because he's amazing at it. I don't know how racing works, but what's the importance? It's like they say, like, oh, he still has to beat the lead car.
Oh,
What does the yellow flag mean?
I think it's
yellow
like
flag is a caution. You know, if you've seen racing events, you know, when somebody crashes out or like there's a big wreck where everybody's going everywhere, the caution flag comes out.
Okay.
And then of course you have the pace car that basically keeps everyone at a constant rate of speed until the pace car pulls off, and then they go as soon as they get the green flag to do that.
Okay. So what's the benefit of him beating the pace car?
It means that I think it's like he gets back into the race and starts making up that lost ground from being in the pits.
I assume it
because-
was like if he didn't make it out, then he's like
Then he
not
had
in
to
a
go
race.
back into third place or something? That's what I thought. I don't know. I think he might have still been a lap behind at that point.
Yeah, I think he was still a lap behind, so he had to beat the pace car in order to make up that lapped lap.
They lapped him, and he was able to make up that lap, which makes me wonder why he wasn't able to then lap them in return. I don't know how racing works. Maybe it's harder once you've caught up to it. Or like, I mean, no, yeah, that's when he anyway. Yeah, the race. The three racers are down to the last lap as Lightning pulls into first place. Chick smashes Lightning once again, sending him careening off the track. Lightning, however, takes the lead by turning his tires hard to the right while sliding left and reclaims the lead position, which is a thing that he does like a few times in the second movie, where he just
Like
like does
learned to
that.
drift, and so he's
Yeah,
like, I'm
he
fast
just
and
there's
furious
like
now.
yeah, during one of the races there's a dirt track where he just like is drifting through it. It's pretty cool. Chick, in a desperate attempt to win, sideswipes the king, sending him flipping multiple times through the air and landing heavily battered and damaged in the infield, which looks very painful. Lightning screeches to a halt when he sees the king state, remembering what happened to Doc. Since Lightning stopped just before the finish line, Chick Hicks speeds across for first place. Lightning goes back and pushes the king the rest of the way to the finish line, letting the famous competitor finish his last race with dignity. Lightning tells the king that the piston is just an empty cup, echoing Doc's sentiments. Chick Hicks is given the piston cup, however, he is jeered and taunted by the crowd for his actions, making it a hollow victory at best. Meanwhile, Lightning is cheered and congratulated for his act of good sportsmanship. Tex, head of the Dinoco Company, offers Lightning a sponsorship because of his fine job, but Lightning considers, but decides to stay with Rusty's because they gave him his big chance. Guido and Luigi are dumbfounded when an actual Ferrari shows up at their store because McQueen said it's the best place in the world to get tires. Lightning McQueen moves back to Radiator Springs and decides to place his headquarters in the town, making the location famous once more and having the maps redrawn as historic Route 66. This is I like the ending. I like the, like him stopping at the finish line is a really cool shot and a cool moment. Him pushing the king is a cool moment. But the direct comparison they draw between the king and Hudson doesn't work for me. Because Hudson specifically was in his prime, crashed, and then wasn't allowed to continue in his prime. The king was retiring that year anyway. So, like...
I think it was like...
Yeah,
I
like the whole,
saw
like, finish it with dignity, that makes sense, but I don't think the direct comparison with Hudson works.
Yeah.
I could do without that because they're not the same. He won 7. Like, he's like if Hudson hadn't crashed and had just, like, kept going. But it's still a really good character moment for Lightning. And he ends up winning 3 by the second movie anyway, so...
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, as a kid, I was like, why didn't he just, like, go through, win, then turn back and push him?
Yeah.
Which he could have done, but it was a little more symbolic.
He had to make a character choice.
Yeah, he had to make a, like, yeah, it was him making a point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, enough said.
Enough said. Good race. That crash looked painful. Especially when you put human eyes on there and he's like spinning and then he like crashes right on his nose.
Mm-hmm.
Chick, yeah. He gets I believe the confetti joke was in the trailer, which is why I don't like it.
Oh. Did you watch the trailer?
I've got a photographic memory specifically for movie trailers, and it makes movies a nightmare for me. Like, I spoiled Endgame for myself because because a character hadn't been in a scene with a certain lighting yet. Spoilers for Endgame. Skip forward 30 seconds. When Black Widow dies, I was watching that scene. I was like, oh no, is she gonna die or is Hawkeye gonna die? Then I remembered, wait, there's a shot in a trailer of Hawkeye in a tunnel. That hasn't happened yet. Damn it.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just a curse that I live with where, like, if I'm watching, I need to stop watching trailers.
That's what I do. I stopped watching.
That's why for the last 2 Star Wars movies, last 2?
Yeah.
Solo came out after Last Jedi. I watched the trailers for that. For episode 8 and episode 9, I didn't watch any trailers. And it made the movie going experience so much better because I didn't have anything spoiled for me. Cars, yeah, the confetti joke is spoiled, but I believe they removed the piston cup from
the shot.
Yeah. And yeah, the guy Tex says good job, and he's got a hood ornament, not a hood ornament, a grill ornament that's supposed to evoke a mustache.
Well, no, he's got the horns thing. Is that what you
Yeah, the
mean?
horns. Yeah, that's supposed to look
That's
like the.
definitely like a regular car thing, though.
Is it? To just like
Yeah,
have that on. Okay, yeah.
to have horns on your grill, yeah. It's definitely like
Hmm.
a southern kind
Yeah,
of
I've
car.
definitely seen that.
It's more of a Texan thing than Southern, but
Texan
it's
thing,
pretty
yeah.
darn close.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Midwest is a lot of cattle catchers. Um, even though you're probably not going to need to use them. But you know, if you want to ram into another car, it's pretty good. And then you know, Route 66, it all gets better. We get the zebra says, "Oh, it's back on the map."
Yay.
Anything else? Any other thoughts of the ending before we go into the many end credit scenes?
Oh my gosh.
Worse than Endgame, worse than Return of the King.
Yeah,
Return of the
for
King doesn't
sure.
have end credits, but it has the this is
It
worse.
has like 5 endings.
Yeah. Okay. A series of scenes during the credits show what happens to Radiator Springs afterwards. Flo's V8 Cafe is seen full of customers while customers try Ramon's body art. A museum, and feel free to stop me after any of these if you have anything to say. A museum of Doc Hudson's racing days opens. We see the king and his wife, who is appropriately voiced by the late Linda Petty.
Sure.
Petty is a racer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
As well as fellow race car Junior, voiced by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Wait, what?
and modeled after Earnhardt's number 8 Chevrolet Monte Carlo in there. Yeah, when he's like, "Hey, Mr. the King, you're a real inspiration to me. Thanks,
Oh,
Junior." And I was like, okay.
whatever.
I'm sure racing fans were, you know, the one meme, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme, where he's like pointing at the screen.
Oh, yeah,
That's what racing fans were like this whole movie.
probably.
Sarge opens a boot camp for off-road vehicles who have never been off-road. It orders a Hummer who protests about getting dirty to drop and give him 20 miles.
Drop off is like,
Like
Yeah,
drive
like,
onto the off-road.
I do like the joke earlier in the movie, in the courtroom where he says "all rise" and then Ramon jacks up his I don't know what he's a
Is a figurative standing up.
yeah, when he like jacks up his thing. I don't know what that's called. In a touch of poetic justice, the street racers who are responsible for McQueen's dilemma are caught by sheriff speeding near Radiator Springs. They are locked in an impound lot and are sentenced to towing Bessie.
how? They're gonna repave the road again?
I'm assuming that they like pave past where McQueen started,
Oh,
because
okay.
like they didn't tear up any road that
Right.
I saw. They just I mean, might as well pave some more. Oh, here we go. The Radiator Springs Drive-In movie theater opens and shows car versions of popular Pixar movies, including Toy Car Story, Monster Trucks Incorporated, and A Bug's Life. The in-joke shown is that Mac is praising Ham the piggy truck, the abominable snowplow, and P.T. Flea, all of whom are voiced by John Ratzenberger, like Mac. When Mac realizes this, he wonders what kind of cut-right production this is to reuse his voice.
Well, that just kind of ruined that joke.
Because they explained the joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke ruiner and a breaking of the fourth wall at the same time. I mean,
Thanks, IMDb.
I mean, it is funny to see the different characters from other Pixar movies as cars.
It felt like something that they should have done in Cars 2, not Cars 1.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't like this movie and nobody did, like, that would be like a terrible end credit scene. You know what I mean?
It makes me think. One thought I did have is that these are cars. These aren't animated movies. These are cars. These are how the cars look. Like the Bugs one, that makes sense because they're all V-Bugs. Toy Car Story, not sure how that works. They're really small, but the Monster Trucks Incorporated is like the equivalent of like old freak shows, I think, because those cars actually look like that. And so they just make a movie about them, calling them monster trucks. Although maybe that's what monster trucks do. Although whatever Mike is not a monster truck. He's one of those European cars that has the 3 wheels, and the door is on the front of the car.
What?
Yeah. So like you approach the car from the front, you open the door, and then you step in, and then you close it that way.
And you're driving with the door in front of you? Like your door is your windshield?
Yeah, your door is your windshield. That's the kind of type of car it is.
Man, people are weird.
Yeah, they made it. They tested one out back in the Top Gear days, and had the joke of if you park it in a parking spot in a parking garage, you can't get out of the car because the wall's right in front of you.
Yeah.
So you have to always back it in. My goodness. And then it doesn't say it in the recap, but there is the last end credit scene, which is the minivan couple seen earlier in the movie, lost because he's following his GPS. There's a whole can of worms. How does GPS work?
Yeah.
It's by satellites. I mean,
Well, for like cars though.
Yeah, like do they like put it? Is it like putting it into your brain like a microchip?
or something, or it's like the smart like display or something that the car can see, but we can't,
They
like
do that,
Google
yeah.
Glass or whatever.
Yeah, they
or
do
something
that.
like that.
They do that in cars too, where they have like these head-up displays, I guess.
And I think the other bit on that is the common, is more common than
asking for
not
directions.
of asking for directions, but also having an outdated GPS
Yeah,
because you have to update it constantly for it to be,
right.
for it to work.
I do remember that. The brief time. This isn't the Wildcast, so I'm allowed to say mission stories whenever I want to. I had to use a physical GPS, and yeah, you had to keep it constantly updated because like there's a chance that I'd go to a new area and there would be a new road there, or there'd be a road that used to be there but isn't there, or like the freeways changed because they added a new on-ramp. And
Mhm.
because it doesn't connect to the internet, you had to like hook it up to someone's computer and manually update it. Like with like Google Maps and stuff, that isn't really a concern. So I assume what happened with this guy is that he had an outdated GPS and the interstate wasn't on the GPS or something.
Well,
And
because
somehow
like
they
it
were in the
used to
middle of the
be
desert.
part of the interstate, right? Route
Yeah, it was
66?
just Route 66.
Yeah, so that's probably what it was.
Oh, and yeah, that whole thing. I don't know how Route 66 worked, but when Sally's like, people didn't go on it to make a good time, they wanted it to have a good time, and people are just cruising and saying hi to each other, and I'm thinking that is a long road. I don't think you go on that to have. Do you take a multi-day trip just to have a good time? I don't think so. Like going on, it was more like you take a kind of to have a good time. Like going on Route 66 was like a vacation, or you went on it to get from point A to point B. I don't know.
Maybe it's like one of those weird like old country kind of things, like
Yeah,
driving is a good time kind
yeah.
of.
Like I don't
thing.
think that the interstate is at fault for what happened to Radiator Springs. It's just that they were bad at marketing, because they are in the middle of nowhere with
Yeah.
nothing for a while. So if someone's out of gas on the interstate, that's a perfect place to stop off to. All I needed was a sign on the interstate.
Yep.
Yeah, put out a. It does imply that the email that like that like cell phones and the internet is not a thing in this universe. Otherwise, Lightning would have just called Mac.
Right.
Just been like, hey, or I don't know.
Well,
there are like mobile phones in Cars 2. Cars 2
yeah,
runs a
Cars 2 is like
lot.
way more advanced.
Yeah, because it's like a few years later. I don't know. Anyway, final thoughts. Moment of the movie. Anyone have one first? I'm thinking of my moment.
Oh man. Mine is probably This is just the one where, like, in the beginning, he's like, "Don't take me out, coach. I can still race."
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
In that case, I will take "Fly Away, Stanley, Be Free." When the the statue is flying, that'll be mine. I like that one. I guess I could have done with the one I hate. Cody.
Do I have one? It's kind of interesting. This was something that you really have to look closely at. There was one car race in the first race at the beginning of the movie that was painted white and had the number 84 on it.
I don't get the
Well,
reference.
The reference is, that was a reference to Steve Jobs, who at the time during the development of the movie was CEO of Pixar.
Oh.
And they did that
That's
as a
clever.
and they did that as a tribute.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
That's cool. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. That's a good moment. And also a good movie detail that I like.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. When you said it was painted white, I was like, oh my gosh, did I miss a Speed Racer reference? If it was white and had like and the number was
5
5 or
on it?
6, yeah, if it was a 5
Yeah.
or a 6, it would have been. Actually, no, yeah, Speed Racer came out the year before this, so they wouldn't have had time to make a reference unless they were referencing the anime,
Yeah.
which they wouldn't. Any other final thoughts? I think it seems like we're being hard on this movie. Just a lot of the world is dumb and makes no sense. And
Yeah.
the franchise has been memed a lot. It's sort of like got the Shrek syndrome where it's almost been memed into oblivion, but not quite.
Mhm.
Um,
This movie is a lot like Harry Potter, where like the story is good, but the world doesn't make any sense.
yeah, the world doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense, but like the story itself, solid. Anyway, let's rank. Oh my gosh, I haven't thought about this. Let's rank the movie.
All right.
I will share my screen now. So I've got a feeling it's gonna rank fairly high. As much as it's
I want to put it number 6, right below Guardians of the Galaxy.
really. I would say I was thinking actually 7 because Finding Dory was better than this.
I do not agree.
Okay,
Yeah, it probably belong in the 6 or 7. I wouldn't go above. I would stay out of the top
Actually,
5.
no, but I really liked Fish Hooks.
Oh my gosh. Well, why did Fish Hooks go so low?
Because it's not as good as Finding Dory.
I don't remember Finding Dory being that good.
I do like how both of the fish movies are right next to each other.
So we can't break those up.
No, we can't break those up. So put it at number 7. And I mean number 8. Oh.
Yeah.
That good?
Yeah.
That good? Okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
8 is good because Fish Hooks is hilarious and a lot more memeable than Cars. Coincidentally. So there's that. I should have left it on a little longer for the podcast, but whatever. Yeah, also, if you're watching this, yes, we're recording remotely. No, don't ask why. It's a long story. A kidney stone is only one reason. And film information and statistics time. This was written by John Lasseter, Joe Ranft, Jorgen Klubian, Dan Fogelman, Keel Murray, and Phil Lauren. Directed by John Lasseter and Joe Ranft. IMDb, shame on you. Joe should have been credited first. Released June 9th, 2006. Runtime 1 hour, 57 minutes. Feels longer than that. IMDb scores 7.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomato scores 75% critics and 79% audience, both kind of low. Bechdel test is actually hotly contested on the Bechdel test website. But the official ruling is fail, but I'm going with one of the commenters that it passes barely. Contested on the website, the user Thorny states, Flo and Sally talk to each other several times. During Sally's speech in the courthouse, she asks Flo what she sells at her station. Later, Flo asks, and Sally confirms that they see customers coming into town. It's not much, but it does pass all 3 tests.
No, that's not. So you have to have a conversation, not just
Yeah.
saying one thing.
I'd say it does the absolute bare minimum, because like she asked, like, what do you sell at your car? What do you sell at your station? Gas. What happens if no one comes to your station? They'll all go out of town. According to what I've seen, it can count if there are other people in the room. And it's like when she says that there's customers. So like I'd say very barely, but I will accept the fail by the website. Or as user Zach says, there are no women. There are no humans whatsoever. They're all cars.
Oh my gosh.
Which I thought was pretty good. So we'll go with a fail because they're all cars. Cars have gender in this universe. There's a can of worms I do not want to open.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, is it by maker model? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, now it's time to spin the wheel. This week's wheel was submitted by email by Dallin, and is the Hugh Jackman wheel.
I forgot we did that.
The wheel has been shipped to Cody's house. It's just to either your right or left, which is more convenient. So go ahead and give that a spin and yell out yeet when you do so.
All right. Well, to do this, since I'm in cramped quarters, I'm going to move off screen.
Oh boy.
And go off to the easiest route.
Ooh, there's a cord. The bike cord.
And whenever you're ready.
Ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeet!
Okay. Spinning. It always seems to spin longer when we're doing a virtual.
Yeah.
And the result, thank you, X-Men 2000.
Oh man. Which one is that one?
That's the first one. This is
The one
very
that started it all.
The one that started it all.
Well,
I've never seen it. This will be exciting.
see,
Baby Hugh
Hugh
Jackman.
Jackman shirtless.
Yeah. There's only one movie in this wheel that we wouldn't have, and that was Greatest Showman.
Really? Is he shirtless in Les Mis?
Les Mis isn't a Disney film, so it's not on Disney Plus.
Oh, I thought it would be on here.
No, Les Mis is way too risque for Disney. We actually one of the first times I watched it was on the bus on an orchestra trip, and the teacher was not informed of how adult that movie is.
Oh boy.
And surprisingly, nobody sang along. I was expecting people to sing along, but I guess that's more of a band thing than an orchestra
I
thing.
don't know if you can sing along to Les Mis.
You can certainly try. Where am I? Also, yeah, time to determine the new wheel to spin. I don't know who we're gonna get on next episode. Preferably someone who hasn't been on yet. We'll see. But here is we had a new entry via email. John C. submitted the Halloween wheel.
John Cena?
I don't believe Cena was.
Did
the
you
last
see
name.
the person who did it?
I did, but the Cena was not the last name.
We should have done Halloween.
We could throw in that new wheel and do a late Halloween episode, a really late Halloween episode. Actually, we might be closer to Christmas by that point.
Let's not.
Let's not? Okay, we'll save Halloween for a completely inappropriate time of year. What will be okay? Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the next holiday. Which is the most Thanksgiving of these? We just did a Pixar, so I'm not going to do Toy Story wheel.
So what is Disney by the decades? Is that just
It's every single Disney movie that came out during the 90s.
oh boy.
Want to do that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna do the next wheel that we spin. So next one we're watching is X-Men, and then the next wheel we're spinning is Disney by the decades by the 90s. Thank you, Make My Amalgam, for submitting that on Twitter. Speaking of submitting stuff, I'm actually gonna do a segue this time. If you liked the show, thank you for listening. Please review us on iTunes or whatever podcast service you used to listen to, share it with your friends. You can send your reviews or comments and wheel submissions to WhereStreamsComeTrue@gmail.com, on Twitter @Studio76WSCT. If you want to send it directly to me, I'm on Twitter @CollinsBlakely. You can also send mean comments to at Studio76WSU on Twitter, if you want to. That's the main account. And also anchor.fm/WhereStreamsComeTrue is our hub. And if you want to send a voice recording there, good luck. I've literally never seen a podcast use that feature, but it's there if you want it. And that's all for this episode. Thank you all for watching. And thank you to my guests, Cody and Cameron. Especially to Cody for knowing things about cars that we don't.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
Stay tuned for next episode. Bye.
No.